Welcome to the Plone Podcast, Plone Connection Podcast, Episode 3. And today I am talking to Víctor Fernández de Alba, who's the CTO of kitconcept and the head creator of the visionary of Volto, which is the future of Plone, the new front end for Plone. And he's also the guy who put together the Barceloneta theme. That's the default that comes with Plone 5. And he's done a ton of other things, but I just wanted to get the recording going because Victor was about to say something amusing and funny. And so I wanted to capture it. Go for it.
No, the only thing, you were showing your caps, your nice collection of caps, which I also have, but I somehow lost track of them when I moved to our new place, right? And
right.
I have them somewhere in the down in the basement or whatever. But I had that hat that we got from in Penn State.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's one of my favorites also and everything.
that takes me back to the shopping trip at that sprint. So that was the sprint in 2016, and we had gathered at Penn State, which is State College in Pennsylvania, to finish the Plone.org migration. So at the time, Plone.org was running on Plone version 4, and we were upgrading it to run Plone 5. And so you showed up, and we were with Eric Steele and Rob Porter, Paul Rowland, Sally Kleinfeld. I'm trying to remember that there's a whole bunch of people who came, and it was a nice sprint. And then we took part of the afternoon off to drive to a shopping area, and we're looking through a college paraphernalia store, sweatshirts and things like that. Is that where you got your cap?
Yeah. I got mine there. Yeah,
that's right. And I remember Rob Porter had his sports car hanging out there, and he was like, "Look at my car."
Yeah, nice car. Yeah, he drove us places, and he was very nice. And and I have very good remembrances from that trip and from that sprint.
That's right. You stayed at Rob Porter's house.
I stayed there. Paula as well. Yeah, he was our host, and I still thank him very much for that. And he took care of us. Paul and me especially drove us places and to Penn State, to the location of the sprint, then back home. Then we had very nice dinners and lunch and everything. And,
the thing with Rob and his car is it just kills me because there's so many things to say about Rob's car. I still remember driving around with him around State College, and every time somebody else would drive by and slow down to look at his car, he'd slow down too and make sure the other guy could see his car. Hey, I got a cool car. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I have to tell, if you don't mind, I have to tell my little story about the ribbing I get from Nathan Van Geem and Rob about how apparently I don't drive very well, or at least I drive like an old man. Whereas, of course, I don't stall cars like Nathan, who doesn't know how to drive a manual transmission. And I also don't drive like a maniac through winding roads in a forest with wet snow on the ground late at night coming home from a sprint that ended at midnight. That was at Eric Steele's house. So when people say I drive like an old man, yes, but I'm still alive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very nice stories from that spring. Yeah.
So that wasn't the first time you'd been to Penn State. You'd been to Penn State quite a bit before. I think well before I showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in 2008. Yeah, 2008. that was the time when I was working for the university here in Barcelona, and we organized kind of a together trip with other people from the university, and they contacted WebLion at that time that were operating in the Penn State University, and they wanted to exchange experiences with them. So they made an appointment, and then we said, okay, yeah, we're going to join you and everything. Then we were 4 of us, I think. It was Ramon, Carlas, which was working with Ramon at that time, and then it was another guy from the university who was Giuseppe, who was the one who made the arrangements and everything. And then we met them there before the conference, so we got there 1 week before, and we stayed in New York for a couple of days, and then we drove to Penn State together, and then we made this meeting with them. It was, who was there? It was
Christian Hansen.
Yeah.
Hansen. Trying to remember. Oh, Mike. That's right.
Mike was there.
Yes.
Yes, and by that time, I think that day we didn't meet Eric because he was out, but which was a pity, because that will mean that I will meet him for the first time. But then later I had the opportunity to meet and know him a lot afterwards. But we spent some hours with them, and then we went to have lunch and enjoy Penn State, which is a very nice place. And then we returned we drove back to New York, but really to Washington, and then we had the conference there.
So this is the DC conference in 2008, and this would have been October or something like that.
Yes, it was October. Yeah, at that time.
And that was...
Irene was also there. I forget, because if I don't mention her, maybe she was going to kill me. But
who was also there?
Irene, that was was working for the university at that time, along with all of us, and she did these nice shirts that we wear during the university. During the conference at that time.
So, which Irene?
Irene Escudé.
Okay. I don't think I've met her.
No? Okay. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, she left the university just before I did. So, but
2008, the DC conference was the first conference I went to, and I had talked to WebLion, I think probably the beginning of that year, because they were so friendly and so welcoming and so helpful when at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, when we were trying to put together the first big rollout of websites using Plone. We were put in touch with WebLion by Joel Burton, and WebLion just said, "Oh, you're new to Plone? You're trying to do some cool things? Hey, let's have a big conference call." And they arranged this huge conference call with everybody, a lot of people who use Plone at Penn State, and just said, if you need help, and here's how we're doing, here's how we organize things. It was amazing. So I guess you're experiencing the same things. You were trying to...
same thing. Yeah, we exchange our experiences. We were, as always, when you talk to people and you realize that everybody's facing the same challenges and facing the same problems, and then just by sharing and talk to them, and I solved it this way, and so I solved that way, and whatever, it's super rewarding. And then either you realize that you're on the right track, or they give you some insights that led you to the right place, right? And that experiences are the best. Normally they happen in sprints or in the conferences or things like that, but we had the opportunity to meet them And and to have this first hand experience, which it was quite nice. We've been in conference before. My first conference was in Seattle in 2006.
Wow.
Then we went to Naples the next year, and then DC. But I think that this was the first hand experience, real exchange of what we were doing, because we also had this also our own experience rolling out things in the university, and we had things to tell and to talk about, but by that time, right? So it was
UPC is. Say the name, please, in Catalan, because I don't want to botch it.
It's the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya.
Okay.
Is the technical university here in Barcelona. It's not only based in Barcelona; it's based in several locations around Catalonia. So it's where we did the 2017 Plone conference.
That was a lot of fun, that conference. The thing that struck me is just how many universities there are in Barcelona. I mean, it's a big city, so it makes sense that there'd be more than one, but I was surprised at how many there were.
Yeah, they are. And nowadays the UPC is not only the one that does technical things, but it's the biggest one for sure. And then there's the University of Barcelona, but it's more geared towards humanities and medicine, of course, and then biology and things like that, but not engineering, right? Engineering, it's mainly done inside the UPC nowadays. And then there are tons of others. Now that you mention, it's true. There's a lot of universities in Barcelona where you can choose from. And
what's the population of Barcelona?
I can tell right now, but things change so quickly. But at least 2 million last time I checked. Probably more nowadays, but probably I'm totally outdated on that number, probably, but around 2 million, I guess.
I have some really happy memories of getting to visit Barcelona to do the conference with you in 2017. You and I had talked a lot in the lead up to the 2017 conference about Barcelona and the situation there, which I guess let's not get into the political situation, but I remember thinking what a fascinating city, because it's been so long in the mind, I guess I'm forgetting the word, but when people think about Spain, they think about Barcelona, they think about Madrid, obviously, but Barcelona is just this wonderful city that's on the edge of the ocean. It's I guess economically it's vastly successful, but it's also a beautiful place with so much art and so much history. You're not originally from Barcelona.
I am. In fact, I born.
But right. It's your family that's not originally from it. So you're Barcelonian. Yes.
Yes.
But so what? Given how your family came from elsewhere, tell me what you feel about Barcelona. Like, it is obviously your hometown, but it's a more complex feeling, right?
Yeah, and especially nowadays, because in fact I have to flee from Barcelona when I was when I had time. I had at the moment to leave my parents' house. So because I just the moment that I wanted to leave, it was this bubble for the housing. And for the mortgage and for the price of housing and everything. So it was very, very, very hard for a single person to get a flat or a place to live in Barcelona. So at that moment, I opted to go out. And then, in fact, I'm not living in Barcelona right now. I'm living 50 kilometers from there. So in one of the much of the cities that are around, in the metropolitan area still, but not in Barcelona. And it's fun because it's nothing that I wanted to do, but at the end, I'm already 15 years living outside Barcelona, and it has also its pros and its good things. Yeah, because Barcelona has become very, very, very crowded in the last times, especially because of the tourism and because a lot of people wanted to go there and live there and everything. And sometimes when I go to Barcelona, I mean, maybe you will call me, you're getting old, whatever, and because you're about to say an all itching, right? But I feel that there's already too much people in Barcelona, and you walk the street and there's people everywhere, and they say, and I feel kind of uncomfortable.
I don't think it's just you, because I'd read, I think even before COVID, that the number of tourists coming to Barcelona just made it impossible to almost walk down the street. And some of the more popular tourist areas, there's some very popular ones, and it sounded almost like Venice, in the sense that the place is too difficult, maybe too expensive, really, for natives to live in. Exactly. Because of the crush of people coming to visit. But I can understand why people would want to visit, because it's a lovely place. And I mean, to go to the beach and then to see the beautiful city and the culture, but then also have access to areas around, like where you live in the mountains. It's like, wow. Other than the ability to ski, which actually you have. I was going to say, the one thing you don't have is skiing.
We do that. As you said, and we talk about it several times already, right? That we tend to forget how privileged we are, right? And because we have access to the sea and the Mediterranean, and it's beautiful in summer, that you can drive 1 hour and then you get into a very nice beach and then have a swim or whatever. And then then also drive 2 hours and you get into the Plonistas, and then you have plenty of choices to go, and all kind of ski resorts and everything. And we have our weather that is nothing. It's warm, and but sometimes
what's the temperature today? What's your temperature today?
I haven't checked. Let me see. But today is warm. Yeah, we had very cold days, but now it's 12. It says.
Oh, listen to you. Okay, so what do you consider cold?
Cold. We had cold days, and it's around 4 or 5, quite cold. Like,
all right, so for
in the street like this, because we're not used to that, right? I mean,
so I want to say, though, for almost everybody listening or watching this, 4 degrees, we're talking Celsius, right? So for Americans, okay, it's going to be about 38, 30, well, close to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So that when you say that's cold, I mean.
A lot of people make fun of me because I'm a very
that's all right. No, I'm just teasing you. But and so for quite a few times actually, you've shared photos of you and your family skiing in the mountains, and it's beautiful mountains, and the white snow, and obviously the nice helmets and everything, and it's just fantastic to see that you can benefit from having that kind of activity. But then I've also seen you at the beach, and by the way, the name Barceloneta comes from
a beach that is it's the main, well, not the main, there are several of them, but it's the more popular beach in Barcelona. And it was the one that Ramon used to go always, right? So it's kind of biased by his, because he named that after. But it's one of the more famous beaches in Barcelona.
Yeah, I had no idea. So for quite a while, I was using Plone 5 and the Barceloneta default theme, and I assumed it had something to do with Barcelona, but I thought it was maybe a neighborhood in Barcelona, which I guess it's sort of.
It's also a neighborhood, yes. It is also. So the neighborhood that is by the Barceloneta beach is also called Barceloneta.
And of course, this is kind of one of the things that I find kind of sad but funny at the same time. Whenever I go to a city to participate in a conference or Plone or for business travel or something, I tend to not take much time to do any tourism. So of course, I went to Barcelona for the conference in 2017, and I kind of flew in, did the conference for like a solid week, just the training and the talks and the lightning talks, and then the sprints, and then just flew home. But I remember Philip Bauer sitting on the beach. I assume it was Barceloneta, taking photos of his feet looking out onto the ocean. I think this was a couple of days before the conference was going to start. And I was going, man, and he was talking about the food. So, I mean, the guy had a great time. And I guess that's really the way you have to take advantage of the scene, the scenery and the new locations for all the conferences that, well, hopefully we'll get to go to again every year for Plone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's something that I always do. So I take some time before or after to make to do some tourism and take advantage that we are already there. And
that's right.
Visit the place, and I've been doing that for 10 years from now, I think. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not last day, not last.
Actually,
year.
that's one of the things that I remembered too. That you and I have had really well. I really felt like I met you in 2015 at the sprint in Sorrento at the Plone Open Garden, because I remember I was sitting. So for those of you who don't know know what the Plone Open Gardens is, it's this been basically an annual event in April, usually just after Easter, in Sorrento, which is just in the Bay of Naples, so across the bay from Naples. And that particular year, we had designated the sprint in Sorrento to be a strategic sprint for important discussions to try to rein in some of the bigger issues that have been sitting around in Plone and for which no one had really come to a decision about how to proceed. And I remember sitting at this big round table at the front of the room, and you were talking about some of the work you'd been doing. And I remember thinking, oh, this is the guy who'd done Barceloneta. Oh, I had no idea. And I hadn't met you, but I realized that you'd been doing Plone for longer than I had. What was the year that you started doing Plone?
2005, I think. Yeah, where Plone, someone dropped Plone into my hands, so I got my first chance to work with Plone by then, but I haven't done anything for like contributing until I don't know 2009, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, but
so when you had Plone dropped in your lap, what kind of job did you have at the university?
I used to be a system integrator in the university, and yeah, I started to work with Windows 2000 servers and Active Directory and things like that. So yeah, I also did a lot of sysadmin related, but always integrating things like I don't know, set up this Active Directory here and there and things like that. And then I started to integrate Linux systems and Linux services. I like LDAPs. Yeah, I built the first open source LDAP directory in the university back in 2004, I think. And then things like that, right? I mean, mail servers, things around that. And then I started to do a lot of Lotus nodes also. Well, not a lot, but they teach me. And I already had some experience in Lotus Notes because I did some work outside like some gigs outside my daily job and everything. And I started also to learn Lotus nodes and do some kind of things, also some installations of Domino servers and things like that. And then someone came to me and say, "Hey, you know what? The university wants to get rid of Lotus nodes and all, because we had in the university by that time we had a lot of intranets based in Lotus nodes and Domino servers." And they want to spare the licensing and everything. So they want to look at that. We take a look at the state of the art of things that are out there that could replace and make the same things that we do with Lotus nodes. And then, they gave me Plone. Take a look at this thing. It seems nice, whatever. And it's open source. And then, by accident or by chance, I don't know. And then I started to look into that. And I immediately saw that what I had in my hands, and that for sure it will be able to replace in the entire Lotus nodes installations in the university.
Wow.
And and that was my first the story of how Plone came into my hands, right? I mean,
so was there a team of people doing anything with Plone initially, or was it you to start with?
No, it was just me, like trying and investigating and how we could bend Plone to match our use case, which is what I was doing last years in the university, right? So trying new things and see if they match our expectations and the requirements that they told me. And then I spent some time with it. And we realized that not only we could do intranets, but also the websites. And then, I implemented the intranet in the in-house intranet for the company. And it was quite successful. Everybody was happy. And then the university came, because I was working not directly for the university, but for the company that gave or that gives, because it still gives support and makes all kind of computer networking and software things for the university. It's like the central hub for all those kind of things from the university. But it's owned by the university, but it's a private company, which is called UPCnet. Well, it's I made the intranet for UPCnet, and then the university came and say, "Hey, you had a great success with that, and maybe we can try, because we also have the itch of having a kind of generator, a web generator for our institutes, departments, and schools, and all the kind of things."
Yep.
Do you think that we could do that with Plone? And then, maybe. And then we started with it, right? And then it's where Irene came in also, and he was working for the university itself. And he also dropped a lot of nice designs of the generators. And again, we bent Plone, we bent the classic theme. It was not even Sunburst, it was Plone 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we made our first theme for this web generator that was quite nice. We evolved that over the years. But
what do you figure was the number of Plone sites that you ended up deploying?
I think that's around 500 or something. Like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because it became so popular that everybody wanted one in the university. Even for small things like, I have this event here and I need a website for that. And then we drop a website for them. And we made the whole workflow, right? Like someone asks for a website, then one other approves that, then comes to us. We created the site, we assign a DNS, a name, then deploy it, then back. Okay, how many users do you want? Which one will be editor? And it was quite nice. And people had a website in less than 4 or 3 days at the end, I think. And it still runs in the university. So it's how much? I mean, probably 13 years or 14 years.
That's awesome.
Still working there.
Did you have a set of common themes that people could choose from, or did you try to make a custom one for each new site?
That was a requirement for the university. They wanted to have a common style guide. So you see it to one website of the university, and no matter what, you know that website belongs to the UPC, right? And Irene was taking care of that at that time. And later on, Albert jumped in. I know Albert Casado, also another usual suspect from the
What? Who? What?
Yeah, but he joined later. But he also is to blame for the success of this web generator, which, by the way, was called GenWeb at that by that time. And they wanted to maintain this style guide, but we allowed them to change certain things like logos, like colors here and there, and titles, subline, headlines, underlines, things like that. Small things, but they were enough for people to brand their own GenWeb, and still it will be the style guide from the university. And we did that with a control panel.
Oh, wow.
From a control panel, we could put colors here and there, and then back to the theme they were applied on the fly, even because we were using
easier. Nice. So at what point, and I should interject that Albert Casado is the designer. I guess, would you call him he's not a front-end designer, but he's a UI UX designer who created the Pastanaga UI for Volto. Yeah,
he and I developed Barceloneta. Not the design, because the design is from Oriol Martí, which was a former colleague from Ramon back in Iskra, in his company. But we implemented it in this in Sorrento that you mentioned in that year, in 2015. We finished it by that, at the end of the sprint. And Albert helped me to do that, right? So we
that was the presentation then. So you were showing off the first set of Pastanaga at 2015.
No, Pastanaga was later. Yeah.
Oh, so it was 2017. Okay, so right, because there's all these stories.
It was 1 year later, I think, at least. Yeah. So when we ended Barceloneta, then Albert started to work in Pastanaga.
Oh, that's right. Because 2015 in September is the year that we released Plone 5.0 officially, and that was a pretty memorable launch too. That was the blood red moon, and Eric Steele was on an airplane flying, I don't know from where to where, but he was in the airplane on his computer, which, by the way, is a MacBook Air 11-inch, or at least was at the time. And he released Plone 5 officially from that airplane. And it was the night that there was a blood red moon, which is like the full moon, but I can't remember now exactly what the issue is. That it makes the moon look reddish. And I remember being out there with a telescope in the backyard with my family, taking some photos of that. But that was the Plone 5 release. So 2015 in April was when you were showing off Barceloneta. And that's when I first remember meeting you. And it was 2017, the next Sorrento that I attended, where you were showing Pastanaga.
Yep. Yeah, most probably. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So you've mentioned Ramon Navarro Bosch, and he's quite a character. When did you meet him?
I was starting to work for the university back then. He worked for the university itself, like Irene back in the day, not for the company 40%, but for the university itself. But he worked in Manresa, right? He is based in Manresa. Not now, but he will be again probably. And he was working for the computer and networking team there in Manresa, because since there are several locations, so the UPC had several also computers people there, right? And that manage all the infrastructure and everything. So he worked for that. And we were back in the day in 2002 or 2, I don't quite remember when. We were trying to roll out in UPCnet a new Linux distribution for desktops for everybody at the university, which was really challenging, and it still is. But we managed somehow to do that, but not for everybody, but for a good amount of people. And my team was developing also this, which was a Linux distribution tailored for university people, right? Packaged and everything using Linux. I don't remember what the tools we use, but whatever. And Ramon came and because he was also very into Linux. By the day he was also he also was very involved in the genome project, and he helped us to build the thing. And I know him for that in that period of time.
Wow.
And then when I was starting to work with Plone, it turns out that the idea to use Plone came also from, because in Manresa they were already using it. So it came maybe at the same time, or they did before, I don't know. But someone says, hey, we're using Plone here. And then my boss, one of my bosses at that time, that was the one that gave me Plone, Sergi, and he also was and is a very a good friend of Ramon. And then they talk or whatever and say, let's try Plone. So Ramon is good to blame also that Plone came into my hands somehow. And then they were doing things. We talk, hey, we are trying this, we're trying that, we're using this kind of deployments. So we had we started our Plone work, not at the same time, but pretty close, and we shared experiences and everything, and we started to we did a good friendship out of it, and continues today, right?
So yet another thing we can blame Ramon for.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ramon has been doing amazing things first in the Plone world, and he helped establish the ONA company, which has I guess almost like Mozilla did for a while for Plone, in I think probably around 2011 or something like that, has hired a whole bunch of former Plone people to help continue to develop I guess what was originally called Plone Server into Guillotina, which is this very high-speed API, I guess, could you say middleware, really for high-speed data acquisition and reporting. And it's been turned into services by ONA. And so I'm trying to remember. I mean, there's so many Plone people who have gone over to work there. But the nice thing, too, about it, even though they've gone to work for this other technology, it is technology that's its original design was based on some Plone and Zope. And so Guillotina is part of the Plone Foundation. So the Plone Foundation helps to manage, I guess, to promote and protect Guillotina as part of one of many tools that originally started off as just Plone being the responsibility of the Plone Foundation. Now it's Guillotina, Zope. Trying to think. I mean, we talked for a little bit about having Pyramid join, but I don't think that happened yet, or maybe not yet, but we'll see. But yeah, so Ramon has been involved in all these aspects of Plone, in and out.
Yeah. Usual suspect.
Yes, usually, yes.
Put to blame for a number of things.
Yeah, and well, I'm thinking about Ramon. So one of the more memorable things, I mean, there are so many memorable things about the conference in Barcelona, is the band that Ramon is, I guess, the accordion player for. And he played at the big party that was part of the conference in I guess it was the former beer brewing basement of a big restaurant in Barcelona. And that was amazing. Like, not only is this guy a visionary with ideas, and he's a great coder, and he's got so much energy, but he's also a great musician. Like, oh man, that's the kind of person I hate, and I love to hate, I guess, because they're so good all around.
Yeah, it was one of the most iconic moments from conferences, and that night especially, and they performing for all the Plone community in the Plone family there. It was very, very touching, and I have very good remembrances from that night.
Yeah, that restaurant was interesting because I hadn't realized it. But again, back to the fact that I don't do any tourism really when I go to these things, is when we came out of the restaurant, I guess we got into a cab. We piled into a cab and we were driving back to the residence for trainers for the conference. And we get into the cab and we start driving down the street, and we stop at a light, and it's a big intersection. And I look across the street and I go, oh my gosh, that's the apartment building by Gaudí. And we're like right next to it. And I had no idea. So many amazing sites that Barcelona has to offer.
That's true. Yeah. It's side by side, the residents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was raining that day, right? When we went out, but then stopped, or I remember that.
Yeah, it was raining a little bit.
Pity. But yeah, it was.
So now I'm remembering now that the rest of that cab ride home. So I won't say who else was with me in the cab, but we were the last two people in that cab.
Okay.
Let's just say somebody had a little bit too much to drink. And it wasn't me.
Yeah, but I think that about that day I was already trashed, right?
Yeah,
my voice was gone and everything.
Yes. Well, let's just say the cab driver was very upset at the way that drive ended, but I had nothing to do with it. Nothing. But okay. So let me just throw in another little story there. So the next morning was it was the Friday, and it was the last day of the conference. And I remember the closing remarks and Ramon getting up on stage at the podium and thanking everybody who'd helped put the conference together, which is mainly you, and then a whole team of people in Barcelona. But he also closed by saying, and Kim, see, I promised you there would be no civil war. And look. I go, yeah, you promised, but I don't believe Ramon has any say in what happens, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, the good thing is that everything turned out well. But and come on, you were also to blame too for the Barcelona conference happened and was that successful. So thanks a lot also for all the hard work that you helped me during those days. Yeah.
So one of the things that I talked to Chrissy Wainwright about. So Chrissy Wainwright, as hopefully many of you know, is the Plone Foundation president, and she's also my colleague at 6 Feet Up. Plug. Wonderful company to work at, by the way. And we're looking for technical project managers and Python developers. But anyway, other than that, what was I saying about this? Good Lord, I'm having a senior moment.
Chrissy.
The conferences. So you and I had found a way to organize the way that a conference should be planned for Plone, because we'd been to several Plone conferences and we had ideas. We'd seen things that worked and things that didn't work so well. And you and I started codifying essentially the set of like the schedule and a website and the web tools, which we chose Plone to create the Plone site, the conference site. But then that was kind of the germ of it was the germination of ideas on having a kind of standing committee of people who knew how to run a Plone conference, and then could help any of the organizers in a particular year who had decided to host the conference. And so you and I were working this out because 2016 it was Sally Kleinfeld and Chris Ewing and I partly who organized the Plone conference in Boston. And so given that information and the knowledge that you brought to it, we were able to formulate a set of tools and approximate budget and timeline and how to proceed with inviting people and so on. And I heard from Chrissy the other day that at the Plone board meeting that there's this new, which you're on as well. You're a Plone Foundation Board of Directors member. There's this new concept of a conference committee. Do you want to say a little bit more about it?
Yeah. We decided that since the last conference, the online conference for 2020, that the board organized, we thought that there were some nice lessons learned from this conference, and that probably we had to pour all that knowledge into the people that every year is stepping up for doing the conference, because there are so many things that you have to figure out that you can give some advices and everything, but we had the feeling that we had to provide this kind of guidance, not that we are taking over anything, but just as guidance and be there, right? Like, okay, you want, like, we can start doing meetings like this periodically like this. And then we thought that the experience says that we should start selling tickets by that day, and we should start looking for sponsors by that day and things like that. So giving those kinds of guidance was important. And then we decided that we should bootstrap this kind of committee, let's say it like to help the people that are stepping up and doing the conference and organizing the conference, and that will be very helpful and very insightful to have this knowledge up front. And we're doing that. We're bootstrapping it. We hope that you will also join us because
that sounds like a lot of fun, because I've found that I really enjoy trying to massage things into a framework that others can use to save themselves some time and effort and avoid some common omissions, like, oh my gosh, we forgot to organize the housing for trainers, for example, or just common decisions that we've realized worked well. Like, I think 2015 was the first year we included conference training as part of the conference ticket. So all the training classes that come before the start of the official talk period, that's sort of a new part of the Plone culture, which is always fun to consider, that we have a culture that's unique, that a lot of other most other open source projects don't seem to have. This long-lived set of stories and habits that we've gotten into. Some of them maybe not so good, some really funny. Well, like I still tease, I think everybody still teases Calvin Hendricks Parker about the disco pants.
Indeed. Recurring.
Yes, a fixture. Which, by the way, there were at least 2 people at the Barcelona party wearing disco pants. And was Nate's Zupan one of them? Okay, was there another one? I swear there was another person wearing disco pants there.
I think so.
I mean, we're talking the shiny disco pants, right?
Yeah, the shiny ones.
Yeah.
But maybe it seemed that several people have them because they were swapping them.
Yes, there is that habit too.
Mates for sure broke them. Because Calvin wasn't there in Barcelona, right?
No, I don't think he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's just me, like, because right, it's quite likely that the pants shifted from person to person during the course.
I remember, maybe probably Franco also, and
yes.
Philip, it's another usual suspect.
But the conferences that was very interesting. Last year, in December, so a little bit over a month ago, we just finished I guess in recent memory, the most successful Plone conference in quite a while. Just the numbers of people who were able to attend, because it was an online conference. And so a lot of the usual travel expense issues, or even the need to be away from home for a week or more, was suddenly no longer an issue. People could just join the conference from the comfort of their home as long as they had a good internet connection. I think that was a very interesting discovery, to find just how many people would essentially come out of the woodwork. People would go, "My gosh, I've never met you before," or "Yeah, I remember you used to come to stuff, but you hadn't seen you in a long time because it's hard to travel," and yet we saw all these new people come to the conference. Do you think that there's a way that we can incorporate an online element like that again for future conferences, assuming we can get to an in-person event again?
Yeah, I think we should learn from it, right? So this is super important what you said, right? That seeing people coming out of from everywhere, like popping, "Hey, you know what? I'm also want to try Plone, or I'm implementing Plone, or I'm new to Plone, whatever." And then just because they cannot attend for one whole week, or because of, I don't know, whatever issue they have, maybe family, maybe jobs, maybe travel, afford, and accommodation also, whatever. But they are keen to attend online, right? So, and I think that we should learn from it and try somehow to incorporate that into a hybrid experience, right? Where people can meet if they want, and they can attend, and they have this extra that we always experience. That we know what a Plone conference is. That is the distinctive. But you cannot tell people. People only has to attend, right? And know what Plone conference means. It's very difficult to. I found always very difficult to explain people what a Plone conference means and entails, right? But having these two kind of experiences. So if you don't want to travel, but you still want to attend the conference, you can have. And we had a very wonderful experience in December with the platform, with Latswarm, and worked perfectly nice. Then the talks also were great, and everything went super smooth. And that I think that we should incorporate that somehow, if possible, to the upcoming conferences. And we're certainly going to explore that, because we cannot miss the opportunity to.
I'm feeling a little bit of an obligation to point out that loudswarm.com is a creation of 6 Feet Up, but it was kind of an accident, really. In a sense that 6 Feet Up had been running a couple of online conferences with a combination of Zoom and Slack, and had thought about how to engage people and to make it feel like you had a kind of a hallway track where you'd bump into people and you could share stories with each other. So you weren't just a consumer of video coming one way, as it seemed to have been the case in other conferences that were done online. And so, 6 Feet Up decided, we have to run another of these, the Python Web Conference in 2020, and so we should maybe do something to make the experience a little bit better. And so, yeah, that was the origin of Loudswarm. I have been thinking about some of the COVID issues because there's a robotics team that my sons have been involved in, and for which I've been a mentor this year in particular. And we have a mix of students who can attend in person, who are willing to take the precautions of wearing the mask and the distancing and minimizing the number of people in a room. But there are some students who can't join in person. And I've been thinking about how we could make it possible for them to feel like they were part of the activity. So when students are working together to build a robot, how can we make it a little bit more interactive for somebody who's remote? Because so far we have limits on, for example, what Zoom can do or Google Meet. You can put somebody on Google Meet and then point the camera at the table, and they feel like at least they can view what's happening and they can hear what's happening and they can talk. But it's not quite the same because you're still sitting a little bit further away, or you can't touch anything, you can't move around. I wish that we could find a way to like strap GoPros on people's heads, like that are streaming live, and you could, as a remote viewer, you could switch. Let's see who Victor's talking to right now, and what's the conversation happening in that corner of the room. Can you, like send a little electroshocks to Victor and make him move in that direction? I don't know. Maybe not electroshocks. I don't think so.
Yeah. I also thought a lot about that and about the UX experience, that what entails to go inside a Zoom meeting or a Meet call or everything. And I think it's still too like clicky. You have to sit down and still hear and whatever. I can think that this will change somehow. But yeah, because it's still difficult for older people, for people that are not used to computers or whatever, right? To start FaceTime or to start any conference call, right? They have to have an account. They have to have the list of people who can talk to. Then I don't know, something that ease those kind of things. Yeah, and I expect that with all these. Remote org things will, evolve in a way that is much easier to get in touch or to as you said, right, pop a window that you look what I'm looking at or whatever, or that is more easy, like if you were in the same room, right? Experience, I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have to brainstorm some ideas on how to make it more seamless to have the in-person event, but also remote.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, but it's something that we know and we are thinking about already, and probably for this year's conference, and trying to be hybrid, or let's see what we are allowed to do, right? But still, for regular back to normal or quote normal situation when.
Okay, so one big thing I wanted to ask you about is, we haven't talked about it at all, but because you're the visionary for Volto, I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to say a little bit more about what you see happening in Volto, because in Plone 6, which we hope is going to start coming out in the next, say, 6 months or so, Plone 6 is going to have the default front end be Volto. What's that?
Hopefully.
Okay, I thought you were going to say it's going to be sooner than that, but maybe not. What are you doing?
Yeah. Let me.
You're just so lazy. And so Volto is going to be the default front end for Plone 6, and that was an interesting, negotiation discussion that led to the official roadmap, reinforcing the fact that Volto will be that default front end. So I know there's been so much activity in Volto, and last month, especially at the Plone conference, we just saw so many talks, and again, for maybe the third year running, the most popular training classes were related to Volto add-ons, Volto theming, React. So it's clear, like, there's so much interest in the Plone community, and it's inevitable. But tell me a little bit more what you see happening with Volto in the next year or so.
Well, there's a lot of things probably more than people has now or could have imagined. That to make that a reality, we have a lot of open fronts in the Volto team where we know that there's a lot of room for improvement yet, and we are already working on those things, right? I think that the major thing that it's still to be seen who takes the lead on that is all that is related with the installation. I mean, with the integration Volto with the API, right? I mean, and we need to take the lead on that and arrange a team for it and start working on it, because it's the front that is more important for the Plone 6 to happen, right? Where we need that Plone itself will be ready for Volto. All the tooling around Plone or the upcoming Plone 6 should be ready, right? So we need build out to be ready for it, and recipes probably for that. Or if it's not build out, we need the tool that replaces build out that grabs Volto, download it, put it on a place, build it, and then make it online, right? I mean, run and everything. So we still have to think about all this tooling around Plone 6, right? And probably is one of the things that we haven't still tackled yet. And we need leadership on that. And eventually, I expect that at some point we will not get together yet, because all this situation is not making this thing easy, right? Another situation will be that we still have the ability to make sprints, gather together and work on those things together in for a week or something. But it's difficult that it's going to happen, at least I will say for another year. And this is one of the main culprits that is preventing us to start this effort, right? And I think that for making Plone 6 to happen, we need at least even a remote sprint, or when we could gather together, not only the Volto team, but also all people from the community that wants to make Plone 6 a reality, right? And start working on that, this integration, right, into Plone itself, right? I mean, make Volto Plone 6 and put it all together. Then we have all the other fronts that we are already working in Volto itself, right? That is the ones that our projects, or the projects that the Volto team members and all the people that is already working with Volto have in the day-to-day basis, right? And we are already working on that and improving Volto every day. We have Volto 11 in store. It will happen next week, probably. So yeah, we are thinking in a number of improvements already. As you may know, Volto still don't have the portlets concept, right? Which we are not going to inherit, or which not going to use. But as we said a lot of times, implementations. What?
Slots.
Slots, yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of times that we don't want portlets as they are right now in Plone, but we are going to re-implement them in a way that the implementation may change, but the concept lives on, right? So we could have this concept of content that is inherited through the hierarchy, which is, I guess, it will be the more complex part, but then also the ability that you have a page and then you want to fill slots with small pieces of content, and then you could fill them, right? And we are building on that actively right now. And with we also have some other fronts, like we thought that the draft.js editor is not good enough, and we want also to replace it with a nicer thing that the EA guys are already working on it, which is the Slate editor. And we are working on those things already. So there are a lot of open fronts that eventually we will finish, then that make Plone 6 as a whole, right? But
Make 6 great again.
What?
Make Plone great again.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Victor and Ramon. Yes. No, wait. It was Nathan and Ramon. Yes, who had
Nathan and Ramon in Boston. So but back again when I started, because I wanted to stress the fact that Volto is there, Volto works, but we still have a lot of work to do on it, and we are always short-handed, right? Because we have a lot of fronts that people should, if they can and want to make Plone 6 a reality, people should jump in and help us to make it a reality.
I remember in 2019 seeing just how many sprints you were organizing around Volto. And just generally in Plone and in Guillotina, there's so many sprints and so much activity. And the Plone board was busy funding a lot of those, most of them. And it's kind of a shame that last year the number of sprints just dropped, and remote ones are hard to get people to be able to concentrate in, just because it's so easy. You can turn off your computer or you get interrupted. Whereas if you're at an in-person sprint, for one thing, it's a wonderful experience because you're so you're immersed in the environment of working and thinking about Plone or Volto, and you're surrounded by people who are helping you and have ideas and bounce ideas off you so you can help them too. I mean, it's just a fantastic experience. It's so intense, but it's so much fun. And people are, I think with no exception, really are just genuinely interesting and smart contributors because they've decided to be there. And to recreate that experience in a COVID world is really hard.
Yeah, it has proven very difficult, and the experience is not the same. You are not that focused. You are not able to accomplish that many things. What is worth is for talking, right? For deciding things. We, for example, in the Beethoven sprint last year, we decided a lot of things, and we set the foundation, for example, for the new add-ons architecture in Volto. And we had a lot of talks with Rob, with Tiberio, with Alin, with everybody regarding that. And we decided a lot of things that we wrote it down. And then, someone took over and implemented, and not only for the add-ons architecture, but for other things, right? Those are good for the remote sprints, but for accomplish things are I found out very, very difficult. But let's hope that we can get along again at some point and start doing sprints again. And for sure, we will have sprints this year. Either way, remote, and we'll try to accomplish things. But as I said, it's not the same that getting together and talk about things and then sit side by side with someone and hack around the entire evening and with a beer. It's not the same. But we'll see. We the last year wasn't that bad for Volto, and we still accomplished things, and we hope that this year will be as well, and hopefully we will be able to bootstrap Plone 6. I don't know how far we will get, but at least have an alpha soon, and and something on the top of it, yeah, it will be great. Indeed.
Thanks very much for joining me today, and that was a lot of fun to hear.
Yeah, me too.
Some of your backstory, because things that I hadn't known, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you and work with you, and I expect we're gonna keep doing it until one of us drops dead.
Yeah, please.
You want me for a while.
I expect that too, and yeah, there's a lot of people that have to do together still, and yeah, and as you said, make Plone great again.
Okay, we can laugh about that.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, thanks, Victor.
Thanks to you, and it's been a pleasure, as always.